to be an EU-Israel Association Council to be convened. And so there's a lot of work underway now. So that essentially is being worked on. That's one of the outcomes of that, essentially. But not just that correspondence, but more generally a call from a number of EU member states for such a council to be held. And also then there'll be a follow-up with the Palestinian Authority.
Is Ireland's position still to review, or that association agreement should be looked at?
Well, like all agreements, it's our view that the clauses in relation to human rights, humanitarian law should be upheld, and they're important parts of such agreements, and that remains our position.
Just on defence,
we believe tariffs are not conducive to economic growth. Ireland believes in a freer trade environment. We're a small open economy, and I believe that free trade has led to the largest rise in prosperity globally in recent decades. But in respect of the specifics, obviously there will be some secondary effects in terms of Irish perhaps, but not primary. But again, the European Commission will be engaging with the US administration in respect of trade matters. There may be further developments on that front, but that remains to be seen.
Are you more concerned about Donald Trump's targeting of taxation and extraterritorial taxation, given the exposure Ireland might have to the tax arrangements for very large and substantial US corporations?
Well, again, I mean, we've been participants in the OECD process, and we believe there has to be a global approach to taxation issues, and that is how we will approach that. Now, I think the US have essentially pulled out of aspects of the OECD agreement, but ultimately the only way forward is through global agreement. I think more generally the trading environment is an important one. The trading relationship between the United States and the European Union is particularly significant, one of the largest in the world, and so it's important that we maintain that positive relationship, which creates jobs in the United States and of course creates jobs in the European Union, including Ireland as well.
Are you nervous at all about the EU's potential response to tariffs? Do you recommend that they go for retaliation rather than engagement with Trump?
Well, I think I have full confidence in the Commission in respect of how it will approach this. We did have some discussions on this last Monday. I think it's important not to react in advance of anything happening. I think the European Union Commission wants to engage with the US presidency and President Trump on these matters. There is a lot of interdependence. In the modern world, trade is interdependent. Many products, the varying components of such products are manufactured in different countries. As we learned during the COVID experience and the vaccine manufacturing experience, I mean, up to 50 countries were involved in different components of one vaccine, which illustrates the interdependence, the complexity of supply chains. And I think that's the area that we will be endeavouring to work with the United States on.
Is the EU prepared, come what may, if Donald Trump decides to apply blanket tariffs like he has, or further tariffs, for all eventualities? Do you believe the Commission is prepared for that?
Well, like any institution, particularly the European Commission, has done a lot of scenario planning. And would have been, I mean, this is not new. I mean, there's been, President Biden introduced a number of protectionist measures. The IRA Act itself was one. The Technology and Trade Council was one mechanism to try and arbitrate and deal with some of those issues. And again, over the last decade, there's been a greater trend towards protectionism more generally in the world. And I think the European Commission is well experienced and has a lot of scenario planning in play.
Do you believe that this may be a part of a wider confrontation between the EU and the UN, particularly at a very perilous time for the world?
I think it may be a different approach to the conduct of relationships, and that's, in fairness, there are issues in the United States that were well-eared and well-articulated during the election there, no more so than across European countries as well during their respective elections. So in the aftermath of such elections, there's going to be change, and it means the most important thing for us is how do we respond and adapt to a changing environment. But some of the fundamentals will stay in terms of economics, in terms of trade, and in terms of supply and demand.